Hey everybody, Dustin with Dream Crushing Debt here, and I've got another car buying tip for you, and that is don't roll your negative equity. Okay, first of all, what is equity? Positive, negative equity. Okay, so positive means that your car is worth more than your loan amount. Nice, right? We all want positive equity, and that's pretty much with anything that we own. Okay, we're all looking for some positive equity. Okay, negative equity means that the car is worth less than your loan amount. Okay, and that's why we don't want to roll negative equity. So, what happens at the car dealership when you go to trade in your existing car with negative equity into a new car, right? And dealerships will say, oh, we'll pay off your previous loan, we'll pay off your old loan, and we'll get you into a new car. Yeah, they are paying off your old loan because that loan needs to be satisfied before you can move into another car. And essentially, what they do is they take the value of the car, okay, and that's your trade-in value, and then whatever's left between the value of the car and your loan is negative equity, and they just rolled that little portion onto your next loan. Isn't that nifty of them, huh? And so you do this enough times, you roll enough negative equity, and suddenly you're financing a car like your loan is significantly more than the car's actually worth. And this puts people in a pretty big bind, like pretty big. Um, for example, my brother has had more cars than I can count. Almost in the years that we've lived apart from each other, every time I've gone to see him, he's had a new car. And when I've seen him, it's about once a year. Okay, so every year he's getting a new car. And this current car that he has, I was like, so do you like it? He's like, no. And eventually, just with more conversation, he is telling me that, oh, the reason I don't like it is the financial situation I have with it. Ah, what is your financial situation? He says, well, I've rolled enough negative equity that I'm about 10 grand upside down. So, in all of his cars switching out and stuff and rolling negative equity, um, from loan to loan to loan. He's accumulated $10,000 of extra whatever, and they've tacked it on to the car that he bought. So he has a really high car payment for a car that should not ever have a really high car payment. It's terrible. And so you get into a really tough situation. And so should the day come that he decides to sell that car, well, he's never going to sell it for what his loan is worth. And so for him to break even, he's going to have to come up with like 10 grand on his own to get rid of the car, if he's smart about it. Okay, so that's negative equity. That's positive and negative equity, and some examples there. How do you get out of negative equity? Okay, well, simply put, is you pay extra on your loan. You pay down that negative equity. So if you're buying a new car and you have negative equity, you could pay for it then. You just do one large lump sum and wipe out the rest of your loan and start fresh with a new car loan. Another option, probably not quite as recommended, but could be, is you roll it into a lease. And with the leasing payments, they typically only last for 3 years. They're subsidized because you're only paying for the time that you're using the car, so 3 years. Um, but here's the kicker: if you're going to roll negative equity onto a lease, you have to run the lease all the way to the end, and you have to turn the car back in. Okay, you can't trade it in somewhere else. You can't get out of the lease early. You can't do any of that. You have to run all the way to the end of the lease and turn the car back in. At that point, will your negative equity be gone? Okay, so like I said, you can pay for it up front, or you can lease the car. You can trade a car with negative equity, but again, it rolls over. You can buy a car with no down payment, but that just increases the car payment. So you'll have to kind of weigh your options there and see what kind of available cash you have, and really if the car payment matches your budget. Can you feasibly handle it? Can you justify the cost of the car? Is the car 50% of your salary, right? How much negative equity can somebody finance on a car? I mean, like I said, my brothers rolled $10,000. Now, you do that enough times, yeah, it could probably amount to $10,000, but um, I've never seen somebody denied a car loan because of the amount of negative equity. Um, Honestly, if with banks and car dealerships, like they want to sell the car, if you qualify for the loan, you're okay with the payment, they're going to give it to you. So, if you got a lot of negative equity, my advice is to pay it down. Get rid of it before you go car shopping. Seriously, do yourself a favor. Get rid of your negative equity. Make sure that the value of the car matches the loan amount, and you're good. Right? You can trade it in. You're good to go. So, if you're car shopping and you got some negative equity, or if you've got questions about that, it's like your first car. I hope this helps. I truly, truly do hope this helps because with a depreciating asset like a car, they're great, they're handy, we need them, but boy, do they put people in a tough, tough financial situation. So I hope this helps, and we'll see you guys in our next video.